Do you want to learn how to make a real-time weather station monitoring system like the one you can see on the computer screen? Then watch this tutorial from start to the very end, because in this tutorial you will learn how to add these cool gauges and how to program them to display data in real time. Welcome back, my friends. Before we start working on this project, first let's make a plan how to complete this project successfully. Number one, start with a sensor or sensors that you will be using. Study the sensor's data sheet, study its voltages and the amps it will be needing. Number two, make a circuit as a diagram. Number three, soldering or assembling the components onto the breadboard as per your requirements. Number four, controller programming. Number five, checking the code. After we are succeeded in accessing the sensor's values, then the next step will be creating a message to send the sensor's data in one message. You can use as many sensors as you want, but I'll be using the temperature and humidity. Number six, making the computer application. Our application should be capable of receiving the sensor's data in real time. Splitting the sensor's data so that we can access each sensor value separately. Separating the sensor's data is the most important step, because without this we may not be able to display sensors values on these gauges. So now let's get started. Welcome back, my friends, and let's start with the datasheet of the dht11 temperature and humidity module. This is the temperature sensor that we are going to use today in this episode. This datasheet consists of all the information that you want to know about the dht11. For example, a pin description. As we know that the dht11 has 4 pins, so the leftmost pin, which is the pin number 1, can be connected with 5 volts of the Arduino, and the pin number 2 is the data pin, and pin number 3 is not connected, and the pin number 4 is the ground one. So my friends, this is the basic circuit diagram which shows that how the dht11 will be connected with the Arduino. As you know that the dht11 has 4 pins, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the pin number 1 is connected with plus 5 volts. This 5 volt will be providing from the Arduino, and the pin number 2 will be connected with pin 12 of the Arduino, and as you can see the pin number 12 is also connected with a 10k resistor, and the other side is connected with 5 volt. The pin number 3 will not be connected, and the pin number 4 is connected with ground. So that's all for the circuit diagram. Now we will make this circuit on a Vero board. We will do the soldering, then after that we will interface the circuit, and then we'll start the programming. We will solder the dht11 sensor onto the Vero board, as you can see. So first of all we will solder one leg of the dht11 sensor onto the Vero board so that we can align this, and then after that we will use the alligator clips to solder the remaining pins. While soldering, make sure that you don't apply too much heat, because this can damage the dht11 sensor. So now as you can see there is no short circuit, and we are doing all this soldering as per the circuit diagram which you can see. So now it's time to solder the 10k resistor as per the schematic. So now the 10k resistor is soldered. Now it's time to solder the wires. This is the 5 volt wire which is connected with pin number 1 and one side of the 10k resistor, and now this is the ground wire on pin number 4, and the green wire is on pin number 2. So all the wires are soldered. So my friend, this is the code written for dht11 sensor, and let's start with the Haitian code dht.h. Before you start the programming, make sure that you download a library with the name dht. So when you download that library, then go to the Arduino libraries and paste that library over here. I've already downloaded this, so I have this dht library. So first of all, download this. Okay, then after that, hash define DHT pin. So in this episode I'm connecting this dht11 sensor with pin number 12. It means that the pin 2 of the dht11 will be connected with pin 12 of the Arduino Uno, and hash define DHT type dht11. As you know that we have different types of DHT sensors, which is dht11, 22 and 21. So uncomment the one you are using. I'm using dht11, so that's why I have just uncommented this, and the rest of the DHT sensors are commented. Now these are the informations about how to connect it with the Arduino, which I have already explained in the circuit diagram, but let me tell you again that pin 1 on the left of the sensor to the plus 5 volts. If you are using a board with 3.3 volt logic like in Arduino, do connect pin 1 to 3.3 volt instead of 5 volts. Connect pin 2 of the sensor to whatever your DHT pin is. In our case it's pin number 12. Pin 3 of the sensor is not connected, we will not be using this, and connect pin 4, which is on the rightmost side of the sensor, to the ground, and connect a 10k resistor from pin 2 data to the pin 1 power of the sensor, which I have already explained in the circuit diagram. So DHT is the function which takes the DHT pin number and the DHT type. Then here is the string txt text for SMS. Is actually I'm planning to make a string message from the temperature and the humidity values, so that I can send this string message from Arduino Uno to the computer application, and then using the computer application we can send this string message, which consisting of the humidity and temperature sensor values, through an email. So that's why from now I am making a variable with the name text for SMS of the type string, and then string humidity equals to humidity, because it will send us the value in a percentage, and string temperature equals to temperature, and string sign equals to centigrade. So the temperature will be in centigrades and the humidity will be in percentage. So wide setup, as in my previous tutorials, I have been saying that each Mega and Arduino Uno program has these two functions. Those are the white setup and white loop. So the white setup, actually what does it mean? White means that this function is not returning any value, and the empty parentheses means that this function is not taking any argument as the input. And similarly for the white loop, white setup, when we turn on the Arduino first time, the white setup function runs only one time, and then serial will begin 9600. 9600 is the baud rate, as we will be sending the string message from the Arduino to the computer application. So for that we will have to define the baud rate, and that is 9600. And serial.println dht_xx.test. xx means is a series, and this series we have different types of the DHT sensors, so replace the one you are using with 22 or 21 or 11. So as I'm using the 11, I can replace this with 11. And DHT dot begin and begin. And now my friends, let's start with a white loop. This is delay of 2000. Wait a few seconds between measurements, and read temperature or humidity takes about 250 milliseconds. So sensor readings may also be up to 2 seconds old. It's a very slow sensor, so that's why we need to give it some time to get stabilized, and so that we can get some stable values. Integer h is equals to dht.read humidity. This is, as you can see, the two parentheses, so this is a function, and we are reading the humidity, and it will be stored in h, and it's of a type integer. Read temperature as Celsius, so integer t equals to dht.read temperature as a function, and the temperature will be stored in t. So we need actually these two values, the h and t, and this is for read temperature in Fahrenheit, but we will be using these two values, the h and the t. Check if any reads failed and exit early to try again. So this is just for the checking if in case there is any error. And now compute heat index must send in temp in Fahrenheit. Okay, so this is in forehead, just leave this. And okay, now we have to create a message. Actually, we have to send a message to the computer screen. So, and we have to send the temperature values and the humidity values and only in one message, so that to save some time, we don't have to keep the controller so much busy. So first of all, we will read temperature, humidity, and then make one message and send that message to the computer app. So text for SMS is equal to text for SMS plus the temperature value plus comma, which will be used as a delimiter for separating the two values, and then plus h and plus comma, and serial.println text for SMS. Then this instruction will be used to send this string message to the computer application, and then after this, then we empty this variable, and text for SMS equals to just double quotes, and there is nothing, just an empty, and then delay of 1000 milliseconds, which is equal to 1 second, and that's it. So that's the program. And now let's check this program, and let's see if we can print on the serial monitor. So I have connected the Arduino Uno with my laptop. It's on COM5, and let's upload this code. So now after this, now we will start the computer application designing. So watch each and every step closely so that you never miss any step. Okay, so now as you can see, the program is uploaded, and let's click on the serial monitor. And now you can see the temperature is 30 and the humidity is 45. So our program is good, it's working, and let's start the computer application. So my friends, before you start the Visual Basic application designing, first of all install diff components.netbar 12.1.0.0, and you can easily find this on Google. So install this, and then after that open the Visual Basic Microsoft 2010 Express, select a new project, give it a name, Weather Station, and now first start with adding the reference. So click browse, and then see program files, and then search for the .NET bar for window forms. So select here all the DLL files, as you can see. So it wasn't selected. Add reference, start from here, select all, and OK. You can confirm from here. And now the next step is to click here form1.designer.vb and remove this line, and write diff components dot netbar dot office 2007 form, and we are done, and save this. So my friends, now click on the toolbox and add text box. It's been added here. Click on the multi-line, now copy and paste. We will also be needing a serial port and also one timer. So you can click from here, and timer is equal to 1000, and enabled it, so it's true. Serial port is OK. Okay, text box 1, this is text box 2, 3 and 4. And now we will need a label. Click. Here you can change, for example, it's temperature. Copy and paste, and it's humidity. So my friends, as you can see, I just adjusted the boxes a little bit and increase the size. You can easily increase the size by dragging this, so I just increases the size. And now we will start the programming. So first of all, we will only read the values over here, then we will split those values in temperature box and humidity, and then after that we will start adding the gauges. So the first which is the most important part is receiving the data and then splitting that. So let's first do that. So my friends, double click over here, click over here and enter, and start by typing imports system.io and imports system.io.ports, which we use for serial communication, defining the input and output port. So, and we will also need one variable, and that is dim value 1 is integer. Okay, now with the form1 load, and start coding over here. So start with serial port 1 dot close. So close the port. If it's already open, so it will close the port, and then serial port 1 dot port name equals to COM5, as it's installed on COM5, and as the baud rate we have used 9600, so serial port 1 dot baud rate equals to 9600, and serial port 1 dot data bits equals to 8, and serial port 1 dot parity equals to parity dot none. Serial port 1 dot stop bits equals to stop bits dot 1, and serial port 1 dot handshake equals to handshake dot not. We don't need a handshake. And then serial port 1 dot encoding, which is equal to system dot text dot encoding dot default. And then finally we will open the serial port, so serial port 1 dot open. So my friends, so far we covered how to access the serial port, and due to the tutorial time limitations, I already did the programming, checked it is working fine, and now I will explain the code. So this is the timer 1 code. So how to do this? Actually, just open the form 1 and select the timer 1, as we have already set the time to 1 second, and now double click on the timer 1, and then you start coding from here. So before you start the coding, first of all, I made few changes. Those are dim value 1 as decimal. Previously it was declared as integer, then I changed it to decimal, and dim value 2 as decimal. So as I will be accessing two values, the temperature and the humidity value, so for that I need two variables, the value 1 and the value 2. Later I will use these two values for the gauges. So now let's start with this dim s as a string. So s will hold the values which we will receive in text box 1 dot text, and then plus we add the delimiters. Why we are actually adding this delimiters? If in case we are receiving an empty message from the microcontroller, then in that case it will add these delimiters with this with that empty message, so the format will be completed. The compiler won't generate any error. And then dim some string as string, split string based on the comma. Over here you can see if you are using any other character, then you can replace this with that one. So some string equals to s dot split new character and this. Then text box 2 dot text equal to some string. So as you can see, this is the text box 2, this is the text box 1, 3 and 4. So the text box 2 will have the value of temperature, text box 3 will have the value of humidity, and the text box 1 will have the complete message. Okay, so then try value 1 equals to convert dot decimal text box 2 dot text. So the temperature value which is in text box 2, that's actually a string type, so we will have to convert that into a decimal. So for that we are using this. And catch ex as exception, so text box 1 dot text which is empty. So if there is any error, for example, just empty the text box 1, but the program won't shut down or it won't generate any error. So text box 3 dot text, so similarly for the text box 3 we are converting the humidity value into the decimal, and then if there is any error it will just empty the text box 1, and then after that we are, after every 2 seconds, the text box 1 dot text, the text box 1 dot text automatically clear. So how this actually works, it's very simple. In text box 1 we are receiving a complete message from the Arduino, which consists of the census data having a comma as a delimiter. So then we are using the Visual Basic programming to split this that string message into values of temperature and humidity, and then we display the temperature value over here and the humidity value over here. So that's it. And now and then after that, this is a function, data received function, and which is used for receiving data from the Arduino serially. So try dim my data a string is equal to, which is empty, and my data is equal to serial port 1 dot read existing. And then if text box 1 dot invoked required, then text box 1 dot invoked direct cause sub, which is a function, as you can see over here, text box 1 dot text end is equal to my data, and method invoker, which is a function. Else text box 1 dot text end is equal to my data and if. So this if condition ends over here, and catch ex as exception, so message box dot show ex dot message. So that's the basic program, and let's run this as the Arduino is already connected with my laptop. And now let's check whether it's working or not. So as you can see, we are receiving a string message over here, and now we are splitting that and displaying the temperature value over here and the humidity value over here. So far our program is working, and now we are ready to use these two values for the gauges. So let's do it. So my friends, if you are using these gauges for the first time, then first of all you will have to follow some steps. That is, first of all, open the folder which is the .NET bar for the Windows form, and now you can see over here these different DLL files. Toolbox, I have already added the gauge control. Okay, so that's the way you can add. Let's for example add something else. And you can see it's adding. So this is the .NET bar, so I added it, and you can see all the components are added. So now you can use all these components, but I want to use this gauge control. So now form open, to select on the gauge control and draw. So first of all, I want to use this thermometer for displaying temperature. So while this is selected, first of all change the name to GC1 and now linear scales. So click here, and from here you can just change the value. So I don't need the minimum value, so just keep it 0. So as you can see over here, it's now 0, and the maximum value as I will be monitoring the ambient temperature. So I think it's maybe enough 70, because this is the highest temperature. Okay, so now the setting is completed for this one, and okay. So now let's add another gauge control, draw, and this time we want to use this circular type. Okay, so now change its name, GC2. Okay, that's it. If you want, you can change the lower limit and the minimum limit and the maximum limit. So just check these values. You can see over here the circular scales, and then we have gauge items, and then the linear scales. So it's just very simple. Okay, and now it's time to add labels. So this is humidity. You can change the fonts if you want here. Let's keep it 16 in bold. So it's humidity, copy, paste, and this is going to be temperature. So this temperature. So let's run this code. Sorry, I didn't connect the Arduino. So now the Arduino is connected, and now let's play again. So my friends, now you can see the values in temperature and humidity boxes, but these are not updating the temperature and humidity gauges. Why? Because now we have to add few instructions so that we can display these values on these gauges. So let's do this. So we will add this code into a timer section over here, which is the gc1.set pointer value. Actually this is a function, and then scale 1, and pointer 1, and we want to display value 1, and then gc2 dot set pointer value scale 1 pointer 1, and then value 2. So and sorry, over here it's missing. Okay, so now let's check this again. The Arduino is connected, and boom, we did it, it's working. So now as you can see, the temperature is 33 and humidity is 13. So, and now we can change the form name, so let's do that. Click on here, and right over here, real-time weather station monitoring system. So now as you can see, it's working. Temperature value, the humidity value. So okay, and now if you see, we have one problem, that is we have to keep it fixed. So for this, select this form, click here, and let's look for the border style, border form border style, which is sizable, and we have to change this to the fixed to window. And now we can save this and play. And now you can see, now you won't be able to maximize this, or so this is our real-time weather station monitoring system. This is how easily we can add these gauges. So I hope you like today's episode. Like my video, share my videos with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe if you didn't subscribe, and see you in next episode. Take care, bye bye.